listening to The Power of Being Positive, helping you discover strategies to unleash the uplifting, energizing, and motivating power of being positive and the awesome effects that it can have in your life. Getting ready to power you up in 3, 2, 1.
All right, well, welcome back to The Power of Being Positive. This is episode number 3, and I'm your host, David Clark. I want to start this episode off with really saying thank you. Thank you for all the support, all of the positive words of encouragement that I've received, the text messages, the emails, the phone calls, the Facebook posts, all that. It really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate all of the support. It's not anything that I ever really imagined or thought would ever happen. And also thank you to everybody that has taken the time to leave a rating and review. That really helps me know that I'm doing things the right way. But what I want to remind everybody of real quick are the 2 reasons why I'm doing this show. The first reason is because I want to really help people find better ways to react to situations in a positive way. I want to help you understand that there are tools, mental tools that you can acquire, basically, that will help you reset when you do hit a negative time. It will help you get back in a positive framework faster, and it will help you, move forward, because that's what being positive is about. Is really helping you find ways to move forward in a positive, move forward quickly and easily, and not lose momentum on whatever it is that you're doing. And the second goal of this podcast is really just to give you the ability to, and maybe the confidence to try something new and to get outside your comfort zone. I've had a few different people say things to me about, hey, look, I'd like to start a podcast of my own and do some things like that. So I hope that by you seeing or hearing me do this, that it gives you some kind of confidence to go try something new, and to, again, get outside your comfort zone and to push a boundary a little bit and see what you can do. Because the end of the day, the way that a lot of this stuff works is when you're called to do something, and I'm not saying like this podcast is like my ultimate calling or anything, but when you're called to do something, the longer that you put that off, the more it's just going to continue to call you to do it. Right? So go ahead and take action on that thing that you want to do. Put yourself out there. It's only going to make you better in the end. And that's just kind of how it works. So anyway, so on with episode number 3. I talked to some different people. I got some great feedback. Kind of like at the end of every show, I ask, hey, let me know what else, what else I could talk about to possibly help you get through something. And what I got a lot of feedback from is change. And how to deal with change in a positive way. I know that personally for me, over the past 2 years, there's been a lot of change that's gone on in our lives. Some of it obviously is stuff that was self-inflicted, right? We moved, we changed locations, all that. But then there are things that happen that weren't expected. And I think that that's the kind of change that really sucks and hurts the most, right? Is the unexpected change. Because you've kind of gone down a path and you think you're going the right direction, and then something happens and it's not expected, and then it derails you. And you want to go negative because it's a fight or flight kind of thing, right? It's one of those things to where you want to get defensive when something unexpected happens, and that's natural. I mean, that's just kind of the way that it works. So again, what I want to cover is I've got a few different ways to help you deal with that change. the first thing that I can tell you to do is when something happens, that, when a change happens, the first thing that I can recommend that you do is don't react to it immediately. Give yourself some time, step back from it, and let your mind kind of wrap around the situation. A lot of times, a lot of people say, hey, give it 24 hours before you make a decision. I know that for me, it's always taken me a lot longer than 24 hours to wrap my head around any major change that's happened. But what I can tell you is that anytime I've reacted, it's been more of a defensive negative thing than it has been stepping back and analyzing the situation for what it is, and then making the right decision. Because what it will allow you to do is it obviously will allow you to really see what the good side of it is. So when a change happens, step back, give it some time, let it marinate for a minute. Then the next thing that you want to do is you want to write down the good things that can come from this change, right? What's the good side? What are the good points of it? Don't even write down the negative stuff. Don't even go there, but write down all of the good things that can come from this change. And really, as you're going through all of these changes, I encourage you to write stuff down and to journal it all. I wish that over the past 2 years that I would have journaled all of the stuff that has gone on with me, because it would have helped me wrap my head around it faster and see what it is ultimately that I'm supposed to be doing in the long run. The next thing that I kind of think about when I think about change is that you've got to understand that when change happens, that it's happening for a reason. So you've got, and this is, part of this is faith-based stuff. So, because, I'm a Christian, really through the change that's happened in our lives here over the past 2 years, I've grown even closer to God, I feel. So the change that happens is happening for a bigger reason. And it's really going to help you be in a better spot than you probably thought that you were going to be. Your path is going a different direction than what you expected. But once you realize that path that you're being taken on now is the one that you're probably really meant to go on, and that all the other stuff in your life that you were trying to control was really not the path that you were meant to go on. Because if you think about things, I've been reading a book called Visioneering. And in Visioneering, it's biblical based. It talks about Nehemiah and his vision for rebuilding the walls around Jerusalem, and how he was working for a pharaoh, or how he was under the servitude of a pharaoh, and how he had a vision for where it needed to be, but he had to be patient for that vision to come true, and it didn't go the exact way he thought it was going to, and all that stuff. I haven't gotten all the way through the book, but you've got to understand that there is a bigger purpose and vision for you being on this planet than what you can even imagine at this time. So while change hurts, and change is not something fun to deal with a lot of times, when you think about negative change, good change, when things change for the better, if you win the lottery, you're like, yes, awesome, give me more of that. But when you think about change, understand that look, God's got a bigger plan for you than anything you can ever imagine. The universe or whatever it is that you believe in. Surely your God is a patient, loving God like mine. But you've got to understand that there's a bigger plan and a bigger vision for your life than what you can actually imagine and think of. And the thing is that when the change happens, you may not understand why it's happening, but 9 times out of 10, it's setting you up for something even more dramatic, even more awesome than the feeble-minded little plan that you had in your mind. So don't try not to get too upset when unexpected change happens, because and try not to look at it in a negative way. Because again, in my personal life, we moved. At the time, I didn't think it was going to be that much of a. I didn't see some of the things that was setting up for me in the future. For example, this podcast would not be happening right now if some of the other changes in my life didn't happen. So again, if you look at, we moved to a brand new area. There was a whole lot of issues with us getting adjusted to this area. We were essentially living in a hotel for 3 months while we were trying to find a house and the kids started school while we were living in that hotel. And I was trying to get a new area developed. And I was going from 5 o'clock in the morning until midnight most nights. And then trying to make sure I could get back in time to help with the kids and get their homework done, and living in a hotel, in a 1-bedroom hotel with 1 bed for 3 months. And then dealing with trying to get into this house that we finally got into. And then unfortunately for me, my business situation deteriorating, and me leaving the company that I was with and going and starting with a new company and trying to get adjusted to the new environment over there and the new people that I sort of knew, but I didn't know them as well as I do now, obviously. And then different things like that going on. So again, a lot of that stuff could be seen as negative. I mean, it really could be. But for me, the way that I've repositioned a lot of this stuff in my mind now, hindsight being 2020, when I was going through it, it sucked and it hurt and it was painful. And I've kind of I'd kind of gone down to some of the lowest lows I felt like I could have ever gone to mentally. But again, that change drove me to be closer to Christ. I've gotten more involved in the Bible. I've tried to become more of a Christian leader here at home. I've learned a bunch of new skills through that change. I've learned how to create a podcast, as simple as that is. I've been put in new situations in the work environment that I'm in to build a new company from scratch again, or try to help build a new company from scratch again. So, so that's re-energizing stuff in my mind all over. So again, don't look at changes in regards to your life. Change happens for a reason. Things are always going to change. You're always going to be faced with new environments. And it's just, things are never going to happen the way that you envision them for yourself, because again, there's always a bigger hand going on in what it is that's going on in your life. So embrace change and enjoy it, and look at it as a good thing, and make sure that along the way that you're keeping notes of what's happening. That's one of the things I didn't do. But keep notes on what's happening along the way. And that way you can look back and you can see the building blocks that are happening for you probably quicker than what I did. I mean, in all honesty, probably quicker than what I did. Because again, if we wouldn't have moved, if I wouldn't have left the job that I was at for over 11 years, then I would not have had any time to really think about some other things that I wanted to do with my life. And I would not have been put through some things to help me realize some of the other things that I should probably be doing. So I hope that this episode is helpful for you and you thinking about the way that you need to deal with change, and understanding the reasons why change happens. Because again, I mean, you can sit down around and you can think all day long about this is happening to me, and woe is me, and all that kind of stuff. But the why behind is what's going on is really the bigger ticket. And once you understand that, really the main thing you need to understand is that the change is happening for a bigger reason than anything that I can conceive right now. So I just need to go with the ride. I need to go with the flow. And you need, and one of the things again that I've done throughout this is, just prayed more and asked for more for God's guidance and his patience. Because, again, when you don't know the end result of something, you have a tendency to lose patience with it really fast because you just don't understand. That's, that's just kind of the way that this stuff works, is when change is happening, you don't understand why, you get frustrated, you get discouraged. And then when you get discouraged about something, then you're going to tend to do stuff that is not going to be effective to help you continue to move forward. So I hope that this gives you some kind of ability to stay positive through change and think about change in a good thing and deal with change in a more positive way, and understand that in the end, you're going to be better off than what you can even imagine at the time. So with that, that's episode number 3. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you've gotten something out of it. Again, if you can leave me a rating or review, that would really help me know where I need to go to take this as I go. Hopefully the next episode, I'm going to have Dr. Brett McCabe on, who's a clinical and sports psychologist. And he's going to talk about some really cool things that he's doing and how athletes deal with stress and what he does to help them deal with their situations in a positive way. Because athletes are probably under more stress than most anybody. He deals with professional golfers, and he does stuff for the University of Alabama and some other colleges and things like that. So again, I'm going to let him come on and talk to us a little bit about what it is that he does and some of the mental tools he helps them put in place to be able to move forward in a positive manner once they've hit a roadblock or had a disappointing situation. Again, this is David Clark, episode 3, Power of Being Positive. Have a great one. Bye.
You've been listening to the Power of Being Positive podcast. To get more tips sent to your inbox, visit powerofbeingpositive.com.